And for me, it's nice.
Mommy, move it next to you.
No, I don't. I'm okay. Yeah. I have like the Elu, our problem is that
Yeah. You have this movie, the voice show. Those are amazing.
okay, good morning, good morning.
Do you know what? I didn't go to your wedding, Sephora. Sephora. I didn't go to your wedding because I was in all places in Ashkelon. That's why I wasn't at the wedding, because I was in Ashkelon and I was right here where you live, I heard. Could have visited my daughter. Yeah, it's so nice.
Okay, I want to start. Good morning, good morning. There's so much.
Both very special.
There's so much. There's so much.
It's right.
Okay. So
You can say Milan again, come visit.
okay. So I wanted yeah, ready? It's recording? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, obviously there's so much. And let's see. We can just take a second to arrive.
To land. Right.
In our body and our mind and our heart and our will and our desires. Just bring them all here. Make them all together. And also maybe our hurts, whatever they may be. So I think we're meeting for the next 4 Mondays. And at some point, I really want to also connect it to Kavanat for Rosh Hashanah. But it's all the same thing, you know what I mean? But if you call it this, you can call it that. So I would like to begin with a piece from Rav Kook. Yesterday was his yortzeit.
Oh my God, I have to tell you, for my birthday, my kids bought me Orot. The English translation. What a present.
What a present. Okay, I hope, and please bless me that by his next website, I will have the book out. Please bless me. And I'm working on something else, which I don't want to say yet, connected with his Torah, which is like a healing tool that I really want. Hashem should bless me with the strength and clarity and health. Okay. So
wait, does anybody want grapes from my grapevine? I picked some yesterday.
Okay, but also have a really and if someone could set a timer for 12:25, Judy asked me to end at 12:25. Okay, can someone set a timer? And Clever, please, I know it's like so yummy to be together and share grapes and everything. I really also want to share with you the story, please. Okay. So here's
There's one right here. Is this yours? I'm sorry, is this your pen?
okay, so here we go. So this is from Orot, and it's Orot HaTeshuva from Rav Kook. And again, we could start anywhere, but I happened to open to this on his yortzeit on Motei Shabbos because I just wanted to honor him. And it was so beautiful, and I was like, okay. So may this shared Torah be l'shem yichud kuchabrich u'shchinte b'chil u'rachim u'rachim u'chil u'yachad Hashem yud-hei b'vav hei b'kudash l'im b'shem kol Yisrael. We're asking that all of this shared energy be harmonize and unite, all the suffering polarities inside of us, outside of us, right? And restore them into healthy flow, restore them into healthy harmony, right? And here we go. Okay. I'm not even going to translate that because I want you to get the full thing. Okay. Yeah. ערך הרצון המתגלה על ידי התשובה. Okay. א', קביעות המחשבה של התשובה היא מייסדת את אפיו של האדם על יסוד האצילות. So Rav Kook is starting by saying something. Rav Kook is starting by saying something really, really, really beautiful. Just take this as, in Yoga Nidra, we call it the sankalpa, like the seed yumminess. I mean, it's not an exact translation from the Hindu, by the way. But, okay, right. And Rav Kook says like this, just a will to come into alignment, just a will to live your real self. Just a will. You haven't done anything yet. Just that force of the will to be in harmony with God, to be your real self, to be your authentic self, to show up with integrity. That's what Teshuva is, right? To be in wholeness, right? In truth, in alignment. Rav Kook says, just New Year, just that will immediately wishes a person up to Atzilut.
Wishes.
Wish. Atzilut. Wish. Okay? Just a machshava of goodness. One thought of goodness transports a person's entire koma to the world of Atzilut. Yes, it's going to get better and better. Vehus sofeg az tamid el tochol ruach adin. And then what happens, because he wants us to understand that everything is energetic. Okay? So he's saying, once you plug yourself into the vibrations of refinement, of goodness, of health, right? Then you've changed what we call the teder. We've changed the vibrational channel, right? Teder, frequency. And then a person wants more of that, right? He says, sofeg az tamid el tochol ruach adin, and a person is looking for those more refined energies and frequencies because it feels so good, right? And he says, and what's beautiful about it is it's not just, oh, I want to fly in those higher frequencies. It's that a person wants to learn how to actually ground and embody these Atzil Adin frequencies, right? Yeah? You missed something? Someone missed something? Oh, okay. Teshuva hashruya belev tamid. So good. Mud'at la'adam et ha'erech hagadol shel ha'chayim haruchanim. And he says, okay, so here he's telling us that Teshuva is it just keeps inviting you into the frequency of your real self. It's the frequency of your real self, like your core self, which I actually brought a paper, which I'll read to you after. Super important. Okay, tell me to after. I mean, I brought a whole workshop, but we'll just see. Okay. Mud'at la'adam ta'erech hagadol shel ha'chayim haruchanim. And it's making known to the person the preciousness of living a life, a physical life with spiritual values. Yes, a physical life with spiritual values. Sheharatzon hatov hu ha'kol. This is Rav Kook's enormous hidush. The desire for good, the will. It doesn't, do I know how to do it? Do I know how to get there? Do I know how to overcome my inner challenges, my outer challenges, my blocks, my fears, my shame, my resentment, my anger? No, I don't know how to do any of that. Rav Kook said, we don't care. Because hakol holech aftarei haratzon, ein shum davar omed b'pnei haratzon. He's not saying it to be cute and fluffy. He's saying Ratzon is a force. It's an energy force. The same way a baby's like sees that water bottle and it's such a powerful force that it takes its first crawl, right? It impels the whole body to learn how to change and do this new thing and learn this new skill because it wants water bottle, right? And he says, does the baby know how to crawl? No. Did anybody teach the baby? Did the mommy get on the floor and go, one hand, one hand? No. Something it's called koach ratzon, the tov, right? Like, I see that and I think it's going to be good for me and I want it, right? So he says, that's the same thing as us, right? Just connect into that like a baby. Like, I see the light, I see the light, I see the good, I see holiness. I don't know how to get there, I don't know how to crawl, but the divine energy is encoded that the will knows how to connect you to what it is that you truly want. Okay?
It could be dangerous.
Of course. Called Etadat Tov Ra. Right. Okay. וכל הכישרונות שבעולם אינם אלא מילואיו. All your gifts, all your talents is just to help you support your will, your inner will. We're talking about your inner true will. By the way, that's how you took on your physical body. That's how your parents made you, because they had a will for each other, right? They had a will for love. Everything starts from keter. Everything starts from will. Yes? Is it clear? Yes? Okay. נעשה תוכן מוטבע בנפשו על ידי אור התשובה הקבוע לו. וממילא חל עליו שפע גדול של רוח הקודש בתדירות. Okay, so he says, again, he's saying that keter, which by the way is the source of the Yud Gimel Midot HaRachamim, right? It's where we are right now, right? Rosh Hashanah, keter, we're on our way to keter. We're on our way to Rosh Hashanah, right? Keter Malchut, right? We're on our way to that har. Mi Yaleh B'Har Hashem. Har is keter. It's Rosh Hashanah, right? It's these frequencies. It's these frequencies. Teder, right? Okay. So he says everything else is organized around your will. Your will is the organizing principle of everything, what you truly want, right? All your gifts, all your talents, all your thoughts, all your emotions, is organizing around your ratzon, right? Yes? Okay.
And a person is born with that ratzon.
Of course, you're made from that ratzon, meaning we would say it's even your like, shvu'ah. You know how like they make the baby swear before the baby is born? Tehei tzaddik ve'al tehei rasha, right? Like reminding you of what your real desire is and taking on this one and having all these adventures. By adventures, we also mean trauma, pain, and suffering. Like let's be real, right?
How do you get past the blocks?
Yeah.
$1 million question.
Yeah. That's the question, and please God, the ratzon nisgav b'kedusha, and understand that we're not talking about your fallen will, meaning the will that comes into you after you've experienced trauma, and then it's a will to survive. We're not talking about your will to survive, because the will to survive can make us do crooked things because we're just trying to survive. So we might steal, we might lie, we might grab someone else's spouse, we might, right? Because we're just trying to survive. Okay? We're not talking about the survival will. We're talking about the atzili will, the will for love, the will for harmony, the will for truth, the will for yosher, the will for integrity, the will for tiferet, the will for Hashem's kavod to be revealed in us, like let's not go out there, in us, and then in all of us, and right, that will. And he says it's if you would know what your inside core energy is, not what you think of yourself. After all, the energies that we took on in this world that are not our true self, that's why we call them klipot. It's not our real self. It's something that grew over us like a shell, right? Lemala mehamidah hakfu'ah shel bnei adam regilim, right? And he says it's higher than regular normal people, right? He's talking about like when you really touch that, we know, but maybe we're in meditation, maybe we're in tefillah, but you know that inside will. Even if you're afraid to want anything anymore because you don't believe that it will come true or Hashem will show up or you're capable, or that's all again klipot. But if none of those klipot were there, what are you yearning for? What's the world that you're yearning to live in? Who are you yearning not to become, because it's already you, to unfold and reveal, right? Okay. He says this inner light, this inner sankalpa, this inner will, this inner seed is actually growing stronger in you every year. Despite how it may appear to the contrary. והוא בא להכיר את הטוב האמיתי של ההצלחה הגמורה שאינה תלויה כי אם באדם עצמו. And it's there to remind us that this is possible. It's actually possible to live in alignment with our own true values. Not values imposed on us. By the way, that's this whole inyan. Don't shoot me, okay? I'm just the messenger of the Brit Chadash, right? Of Yirmiyahu. I'm going to write a Brit Chadash on their hearts, not like the Brit that I gave them when they came out of Mitzrayim. Meaning it's not outside of us anymore. We're not in school. These values are not being imposed by us. We're not doing them because we're afraid of getting in trouble or God being angry at us or the community ousting us. We actually want to live by our own true code of goodness. That's to graduate to the Brit Chadasha. That it's not because we're going to be troubled, because we actually want to live in alignment with our own values, right? Lo b'shum t'nai chitzoni, and living from this place is not dependent on any outside conditions. It's not dependent on having a good husband. It's not dependent on having good health. It's not dependent on having shefa of bracha parnasa. It helps, but we know the basic clause. My daughter, she will live and be well, my oldest daughter, she said to me, Mommy, because honest to God, I hope this was the hardest year of my life, because if it gets any harder than this, man, I don't know, but I hope this was the hardest year of my life. But my daughter said to me, but Mommy, like we know that what's the difference between Yisulim me'ava and Yisulim like ki'ilu Hashem, ki'ilu, whatever that means, is not with us. Because with Yisulim me'ava, meaning suffering, but it's because it's helping us grow. It's growing us, is when we're able to turn to Hashem. If you're able to do meditation, tefillah, right? Connect, turn towards God, you're doing great. With all the suffering, if you can take all that suffering, even self-loathing, even self-hatred, even doubt, even loss of emunah, it doesn't matter. If you can take it and compost it into your intimacy with Hashem, which is really yourself, right? It's all one thing. Or right, to Kuchabihu Yisrael Chadhu, right? It's all one thing, to have a relationship with your real self, with God, and with the heart of all of Am Yisrael. It's the same thing, right? It's the inner heart of everything. Yes? Yes? You're with me? Yes?
It's nice in theory, but in practice, I don't remember this when this happens.
You don't.
I don't remember these things when things happen.
That's why it's called. And I'm not saying this like
Say
lately.
you call someone and they go, "Why'd you call me now? I'm meditating." And I'm like, "Well, you wasn't a very good job of yelling at me." And I feel like someone just punched me, and I was just like, I don't ever want to talk to you again.
Okay.
I don't even know what you were thinking that moment.
Okay. Good. So I brought here. What time is it? Please tell me.
25 to 12. 25 to 12.
Okay, not as good as I would have hoped, but still, I brought Sod Kavanat Elul. It's Torah Vav,
That's the other one.
and it's the Elul Torah. It's the Torah. Now, what most people don't know is it's the secret of the letter Aleph, and the secret of the letter Aleph. Sorry, I'm gonna hold on. I'm really working on aligning and opening my everything. Jody, it's the best question ever, and we'll get there. I just want to warm us up with Rav Kook. But the Sod Kavanat Elul is the secret of how do I respond in real time when people are attacking me. Maybe they're in a bad mood. Maybe it's my kids. Maybe it's my spouse. Maybe it's my boss. It's Rebbe Nachman talks about like, how do I live this tshuva? Great. Rav Kook is going to take me to all these higher realms of angels and lights and flowers and butterflies. But then what do I do when, someone screams at me? How do I like actually stay in flow? You don't be shook, yes. But we have to like unpack the whole thing of that. And I want to tell you just a regular chod, because we'll get into it. By the way, I don't want to get into any of the politics of this. I'm just sharing. Tonight at 7:30, my friend Yoram is teaching Sefer Yetzirah. Obviously, it's mixed because Elisha's house. Downstairs from Rechov Bracha. Downstairs from Rechov Bracha. Elishava Bracha Magid at 7:30 Sefer Yetzirah. Okay, and he's one of the best Kabbalah teachers on the planet. Honestly, 7:30 tonight. Every Monday night, 7:30. 7:30 Sefer Yetzirah. Okay.
I just have to say one thing. Oftentimes when people get angry, maybe this is too psychological, but when people get angry, oftentimes you're just the trigger. Like maybe it was a lot of times it's things that build up inside of people. Like that angry, they missed a parking space, someone cut them off, their husband said something that wasn't nice to them, whatever it is, and you happen to be that one person that triggered it. Like it kind of reached its limits.
We're gonna
So
get
a
there.
lot of times we have to not to take things so personally. People get angry at us.
Again.
It's usually almost nothing to do with us. Usually,
It's just hard to remember that now.
but then we have. I'm just saying it's a vote, but it's
Okay, and I did want to say exactly those words, and not as an apology. I've actually been sitting with these words a lot lately. Like, lo stam shekorim lezeh avodat Hashem, right? Like it is an avodah to feel vistas towards someone and then work with it and soften it and shift it and transform it, like, right? And then respond. That is an avodah. Okay, one sec. וממילא כל ההמשכות התולדותיות, כל זרע שבעל תשובה של אמת מביא לעולם, נשאב אור החיים שלהם מיסוד הטוב. And he says, do you understand that every being in the world that turns back towards this desire for good, especially somebody who is shakua in the not good, right? He says, especially a Baal Tshuva. He says, Baal Tshuva shel emet. I'll read it again. Kol zera shebaal tshuva shel emet nivi leolam nishav or hachayim shelahem yisod hatov. Right? Every time we turn, what is tshuva? It should change direction. It should change direction. And we're going to talk about all these ways we change direction. Okay, so the first tshuva, the first thing we do is we change direction from blaming other people, right, into looking at what was my part in this. Not blaming ourselves. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, asking for the emet. Show me the emet of how did I create this story, What are my fears that drove me to say this instead of that? Again, we can only do this with kindness and softness, which is why we do it in the 40 days of Rachamim. It's not about hating ourselves and then coming to someone else and saying, oh, I'm so bad. It's not that at all, right? It's about love. The whole thing is about love, inner love, outer love, connected love, right? Elul, the Sod Kavanat Elul is, by the way, is the secret that Avraham Avinu, and in here that his name began with an Aleph, right? It's just because it's the secret of the Aleph, gave to Eliezer, again, the Aleph, right? In the month of Elul, right? And it's the secret of Echad, Ahava, all Aleph, right? Emunah. It's the secret of how to connect Shnei Hafachim. An upper yud that's facing down and this way, right? And facing to the left, and a lower yud that's upside down and facing to the right. How do you connect these things? They're polar opposites. Their politics are different, and their religious beliefs are different, and their style of talking is different, and their energies are literally Shnei Hafachim. How do you make peace between two perspectives that are so wildly conflicted? And then you have the Vav in the middle, right? And we're going to get there, right? But this is the secret that, don't forget your question, this is the secret that Avram gave to Eliezer for energetically how to prepare, what to look for, what to notice, what to feel when looking for Yitzchak's life. Right? Elul is the medicine that Avraham gave to Eliezer to prepare both Yitzchak and Rivka for their zivug. Yeah?
The last two lines that you were reading, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It says in the two.
Mikbah hatov
Mikvah?
Mikbah, but I skipped a line. Sorry. Umito.
Sorry.
Listen, and I wish, and I mean this from the bottom of my soul, I wish we had 10 hours because if you really would understand, first of all, I want to give all of you the best Torah that I heard in my entire life that last week. It was from Joey Rosenfeld, and it was from a piece of Rebbe Nachman. So I'm not going to give you the whole thing because, again, I want to do Rav Kook and I want to do Rebbe Nachman inside. Please, God, if we have time. But the bottom line of this Torah is changing my whole life. And here it is. When you, the bottom line of this whole Torah is not Rav Kook. The bottom line of this Rebbe Nachman piece that Joey Rosenfeld taught is the Geula begins when we start to hear the voice of the shofar as Hashem laughing and us laughing, and that becomes the kol with a kuf of the Sudat HaLeviatan, right? When this whole long, traumatic, painful thing is done, when we're all sitting around at the Sudat HaLeviatan, which is like the big party after the Geula Shlema, right? And Hashem is rolling with laughter because what's a joke? This is Charlie Chaplin, right? What's a joke? Tragedy plus time. Right? Tragedy plus time, right? Like when you see a stand-up comic and they're talking about the most painful things in their lives, but it's over already. And now they're poking fun at it. Now it's funny. Certainly not funny when it's happening, right? But so he says, I'm telling you, it's changing my life. And now every day I hear the shofar under my window. And also I was like, I literally live in a city and a place and land that the mitzvahs roll to my door. I'm lying in my bed and I hear under my window, I'm like, oh my gosh, like talk about being a princess, man. Like I don't even have to go to shul. Like it's literally rolling itself to my door, But I want to give you all that. Start to change your mochin instead of the which it's fine if we need that, right? But I cracked up the first time and I heard doo, doo, doo. I'm like, that's Hashem laughing. Like, and I just started cracking up. It's so funny. And it's the laughter that Azimales Chopino. And who's that? Yitzhak. It's starting with the Akeda on Rosh Hashanah and coming all the way through all this pain and constriction and hiddenness and disconnection and brokenness and right. And then seeing like being on the other end of the story and being able to go, ha, 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 ha. It's so good, right? It's so good. It's so healing. Okay, and this is Rebbe Nachman. And he says, it's going to shift your mochim. Start hearing that this is the laughter after we're sitting at the Sudat Leviathan and we're all like, remember when you were so depressed that day and you wanted to take your life? Oh, you're such a drama queen. Right? It's like funny now. Okay? Nish'av or ha'chayim shelahem misod hatov. והם בעלי הנשמות המאירות, שהאור האידיאלי של הקדושה העליונה ספוג בהם. This is right again. He's saying, especially Baalei Tshuvas, right? Because the desire for good, the desire to live in alignment with my real values. I really want to live my truth. I don't want to say I believe this, but then let all my pain pull me out of that into living something else. Yes? Okay. Bet. Ofek hahabata mitrachev al yidei HaTeshuva. My entire perspective of what reality is, of what life is, of what God is, expands and opens through the perspective of Teshuva. Okay? היסוד הרצוני האידיאלי מתארך ומתפשט מראש מקדימי תבל והולך ומקיף עד אחרית, עד סוף כל הדורות. He says, what Teshuva shows me is that everything is process. And in the middle of a process of anything, things look really bad. Imagine the middle of baking challah and your hands are all sticky with dough, and the middle of childbirth, right? The middle of, if you're trying, the middle of anything, of any process, the middle of an artistic process, right? Even the middle of your marriage, right? The middle is where all the tikkunim are happening. And it doesn't look so aligned or so pretty. Rav Kook says what Teshuva does is it takes us to the mountaintop to see a perspective, first of all, maybe of hundreds of our lives, not just this life, but what have I been learning and integrating? And instead of always focusing on where I failed and where I'm bad and what I didn't do, and right, I mean, that's me, maybe only, right? But like opening this and being like seeing a very wide perspective of my family, right? Like, again, maybe I'm really sad because certain tikkunim have not been fixed in my family. But if I understood it from a big, wide perspective of who's doing tikkunim with who, and right, like over generations, and that has like all of this is leading to, the Shir Hashem, right? That literally God's song, Yisrael, God's song. Yeah. Are you guys with me? Okay, so he says, it opens my perspective to see everything, which is why, again, we're going to get to Sod Kavanat Elul, that the Aleph also has to do with Hamtana, patience. Haba l'taher omri misayim, right? There's two Gemaras. Haba l'taher misayim. A person who wants to come into alignment, the entire universe snaps into service of that. And again, Rav Kook is saying it's enough to have a thought, not a thought. Sorry, it's not a thought because that's already machshava. A ratzon, a will, a desire, an inner movement, ever so slight, to live in alignment with our real selves, right? That's what Teshuva is, right? It's so not this. It's to live in alignment with your real self and the joy. That's why Teshuva is Simcha. Teshuva is Bina, right? I'm looking at you in your beautiful green, and it's Bina. Okay. היסוד הרצוני האידיאלי מתארך ומתפשט מראש מקדמי טבע והולך ומקיף עד אחרית. He says, if you understand this, you understand it's all, it's bound to happen. He says, if you understand from Adam Harishon until you, it's one story. It's one process. It's one unfolding. It's one. If we take ourselves out, then we become very sad and very scared and very lonely. And because it's like, what is my life? You know, if my life is just pain and suffering and doubting God and doubting myself, why did you even bring me here? What is this existence even for? Right? That's when we're in the sea of the tzimtzum. But that's malchus of malchus, by the way, right? That's when we're like in the constriction. But when we're miyaleh b'har Hashem, miyakun b'mkom kacho, when we're standing on the mountaintop, meaning we're looking at the entire story from Adam and Chava to us, and all the work that every soul has done to overcome things in themselves, to pray, to tune into the inner core of the will of goodness, right? It changes everything. Okay, wait, it's going to get better. You can imagine. Okay, and he says, "Umitoch gadlo ve'erko rachlo romo ve'amko," and he says, and from this vastness, like it's so high, it's so deep, it's so wide. Again, this whole story of humanity, this whole story of Am Yisrael, what it is to create a world of Yosher Gmula, of complete integrity in all beings, trust and honesty, transparency, kindness, patience, gentleness, playfulness, which, by the way, we only get to the playfulness, we can only laugh when we feel safe. People only laugh, a real laugh, when they feel safe. You can only play when you feel safe, right? That's why the joy comes after. You don't feel joy when you're stuck in trauma, right? Okay. Shel mabat choded ze mitgaleh hatov v'hachesed eloki be'amitato. And he says, if you look at it from this wide perspective, you see the Creator's love. Like, again, if we're in it tzimtzum, it's so tight. It's like, how come I don't have my soulmate in this life? Why am I a single parent? Why am I alone? And it's so painful. And what Kook is saying is, I'm not trying to spiritually bypass your pain. And zoom out and see this is a huge process over time through thousands and thousands of souls and their prayers and their energies and their mitzvahs and their Torah learning and but he's talking about every being in their nekudat hatov. And it's not what the tov that they did. It's just the makor of the ratzon latov. Ratzon latov. Okay.
Really stuff.
How about the door? It's just easier. Just the door. Just easier. Yeah. But please, I don't want to miss.
Like,
Okay.
for a wide perspective, we get what?
We get. Yes. Okay. Hachayim. Okay, Chavra, come home. The hachayim hapratiyim v'haklalim. Please, because I have a really special gift I brought for all of you. I'll hide. Under Rebbe Nachman. Yeah. Better than candy.
He always has.
Okay. The hachayim hapratiyim v'haklalim holchim umitbasasim al yisod yosher hagamor. He says, And then you understand that everything that's happening in your life, your parents' life, your spouse's life, your children's life, your grandparents, your great grandparents. He says, if you understand that the entire thing is all flowing towards one point, right? And what's that point? Yesod hayosher hagamor. Yesod, it makes me want to cry. Like it pierces my heart. It's such a Yesod hayosher hagamor. We're all here learning one thing, and that is how to live together in integrity. Live together in integrity. Again, like what you said, in trust, in harmony, in truthfulness, in reliability, in patience, right? Not preying on each other, not using each other, not manipulating each other, not abandoning each other, not right. All the things that we do when again we're stuck in I need and I'll do anything to get my need fulfilled, right? That's what we do when we fall, right? But like all of our morals and values go out the window because survival brain takes over, right? Okay. הפגימות הנוראות בסדרי החיים, he says all the wounds, all the terrible wounds of life, right? נעשות מוכרות בתור כמתים המית, so good, המתיישרים ומתפשטים. He says, listen to this. He says, from this mountaintop, as you're looking out over thousands of years and billions of souls, okay? And he says, and now you see every trauma, every tragedy, every trauma and tragedy from the most, I don't know if we can grade trauma and tragedy, okay? It's just, but you see, when you're on the mountaintop now, you see it as wrinkles in time, as knots in time, right? As something blocking the flow of love, crunching up, but okay. And then, בגודל החיים של הרצון הטוב, השוטף, כנהר גדול מאוד למשך דורות ותקופות, שרק גילוי חיים קטעים מתגלים בכל דור מיוחד, והשלמתם באה במרץ כל הדורות, שהרצון החודר והמקיף של התשובה מביא לכולם חיים, שלום, ברכה, לעת עדנים. Okay, so he says, now stand on this mountaintop and see that everything is moving in these waves of love towards Yosher Hagmua. That's the goal. That's why we call the Israel Yosher, Yashar, right? That's why it all begins with Sarai Inenu. Yashar, Sarai, she's Yashar. Sarai, right? Sarai is Yashar, right? The same letters. Yes, you guys with me?
Yeah.
Right? And it all starts with her, right? And the whole point is to come to Yisrael, right? Yoshel El, right? Integrity, alignment, middle column, right? All the good stuff of the middle column, like Emet and Tiferet and Shalom and Achdut and unity and right, everything from the middle. Tikkun Abris, right? That's also the middle
So you
column.
put the yud from the back to the front.
Exactly. It's a whole, again, I wish we had 10 hours. Okay. And he says, and stand on this mountaintop and see that there's these folds in the fabric, right? There's like the waves collapsing on themselves, whatever he calls them wrinkles, like wrinkles in the fabric. And then understand that the will for inner good inside every being is accumulative. It's not just you. It's you and your parents and your grandparents and your great grandparents and all the way back to Adam and Chava. And he says, I want you to picture this ocean of energy of the Ratzon for Tov in every being across time and space, and now collectively as one field of energy. Can you, just for a minute, tap in and feel that vastness, how powerful that force is. Okay? And Rav Kook says it's so much goodness that what it starts to, as it's bubbling from Keter, it just smooths out all these wrinkles in the fabric. It smooths the traumas. It unfolds them. It heals them, right? Just from being bathed in this endless ocean of the Ratzon for Tov in every being throughout all space and time forever and ever. By the way, it also means the beings that live 500 years from now, because it's not mukbal. It's not limited by time and space. Energies. It's such a beautiful question. I see we've been learning together for a few years.
What's her question? What's her question?
Is it just Jews, or it's not just Jews? And again, I'm going to say it's both, right? It's both. We're different types of trees. One is an oak tree and one is an aspen. They're different trees, but they're both made by the one creator, right? Okay. But I have to read this again. Hapgimot anoraot besidrei hafayim naasot mukarot betor kamatim. You hear it? The biggest tragedies, October 7th, when you're in Keter, when you're in the vastness of all of history that Hashem is making challah, and it's so messy in the middle, right? With the sticky hands and the dough, and it's not ready yet, right? And he says, but from a perspective of all time, even that becomes bathed in the ocean of the will for goodness that resides in every soul. And that force is ultimately stronger, looking at you, kid, than any October 7th. Again, he's not saying, oh, okay, now we're fine with October 7th. That's not what he's saying. He's just saying, let's just receive this, right? It's so deep. I don't read it again. הפקימות הנוראות בסדרי החיים נעשות מוכרות בתור קמתים המתיישנים ומתפשטים. That they straighten out and they come back into flow and they get reconnected with this force of Tov. Okay, I don't know. I cried when I read this. It's like בגודל החיים של הרצון הטוב, this force, wanting goodness is a force. That's what he says. And he says, and when you want goodness, and you want goodness, and you, and you, it becomes a vast force throughout all of history that soothes everything, that holds everything, that straightens everything, that aligns everything, that brings it back into the Beikut. Okay, good. And he says, בגודל החיים של הרצון הטוב, השוטף כנהר גדול מאוד למשך דורות ותקופות. And he says this force of the desire for good becomes a vast, mighty river of energy, of a desire, tzon l'tov, a desire for good. By the way, tov in Torah always means or, right? Or he tov. Tov and or is always the same. And tov and or always means healthy connection. Ki lo tov ha'adam liot levado. To think that you have to figure out this life on your own and you're abandoned and you're here by yourself is lo tov. That's the very definition of death. To believe that you're abandoned, you're alone, you're unloved, you're not part of this whole vast ocean of love. That's the poison called lo tov that we ingest. We don't mean to ingest it, but it's called the Esadat Uvara, right? And he says this vast ocean of the will for goodness washes everything, straightens everything. And listen to this. Lemeshech dorot u'tkufot, throughout generations, and not just generations, eons, thousands of years. Do you understand what he's saying? Your will for good is bringing comfort right now to Sarah Emunah. It brings tears to my eyes. And your great because that's how it works in Keter. There's no time and space. It's just energy. It's infinite energy. שהרצון החודר והמקיף של התשובה מביא לכולם חיים, שלום וברכה מלאת הדמים. And he says, because this will for good. Again, will. I can't think about it. I can't feel it. I've done nothing. I haven't changed anything in my life. Okay? I don't know how to change. I don't know how to grow. I don't know how to fix anything. I don't know. He's not talking about that. He says it doesn't start from there. Where is your will at? By the way, that's the entire tikkun of Rosh Hashanah. Just align your will to the highest good. That's it. That's the entire thing. It's the day of Keter. It's the day of Ratzon. There's all that fear. And in fact, will yourself to not have fallen fear on Rosh Hashanah. Because you don't want to have fallen fear. I don't want to carry that around.
So align your will to the highest Ratzon?
The highest Ratzon of good. The highest Ratzon of good.
What's fallen fear?
Oh, wow. I'm getting into Rebbe Nachman. Being afraid of people. As opposed to being in awareness that your life is directed. Being afraid of people not liking you. Being afraid of being left out. Being afraid of being excluded. Being afraid of being judged. Being afraid of not being enough by people. By the way, the Rav used to tell me all the time. He gave it to me as a mantra for me personally, because I had a lot of this growing up. Adonai li lo ira, ma yaseh li adam.
What's it?
Adonai li lo ira, ma yaseh li adam. Right? Hashem is with me. I don't have to be afraid. What can a human being do to me? They can reject me, they can hurt me, they can abandon me, they can scream at me, Jody, they can yell at me, Adonai li. Like my creator is right here, right now, energetically holding me. And again, of course, this is avodah. It's so easy to say these beautiful words, and it's another thing to integrate them. Of course, we know this, but the words help. They soothe, they soften. So he says, and this desire for goodness, it fills everything, and it holds everything. Listen to this. And it mevi l'kulam, and it brings to every being new life, shalom, wholeness, integration. We translated it as peace, but really, shalom is shlimus. It's integration. It's a feeling whole, right? Bracha, right? Feeling that there's flow, blessing. Mle'et adanim, that are filled with these. Adanim are like such noble, refined vibrations, like the vibrations of the nobility of humanity, right? Like Eden, Gan Eden, right? Means to be refined, to be gentle, to be noble, to be, the Hibuto mitgaleh, and it's and as it's revealed, we see שהאושר והעליזה הצודקת קובעים את מקומם מתחילתו ומעיקרו. And as this begins to happen, we see that happiness and joy, which was always סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, right? And I know it's hard for us to believe because we're in pain, some of us right now. But sof maseh machshava tchila, the purpose of this life of this entire story, I know it's hard to believe, is Osher ve'alizah, is gladness and joy. Is gladness and joy. And he says, and this real happiness and joy. Now, it's not a joy shetalui b'davar. Anything that's real is not talui b'davar, meaning it's not conditioned upon something else, because batel hadavar, batel ha'ava, or ha'alizah, or ha'osher, right? Any love that's dependent on a condition will disappear when the condition shifts, right? So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about essential joy, the joy of being alive, the joy of receiving your next breath, even if you're sad, even if you're not getting along with your husband today, even if your bills, there's an essential joy. But also, I'm alive. There is breath moving through me, right? Which means that things can shift, things can change, hitchut can happen. Okay, and he says, "V'chol ma shehaya nir'eh lemitzaer," everything that until now we experienced it as constriction, as pain, as suffering. V'chol ma shehaya min ha'cheor be'avar, everything that we thought of as being disgusting and ugly. Let's be real here about ourselves, about our lives. Okay? Mitgaleh, it becomes revealed to us. Shirak hod vegodel hu maleh betor chelek me'agdulah ha'elyonah shel hitkadmut HaTeshuva. He says, it becomes clear to us that it was all one process of growing ourselves like a tree. And the tree in the winter is black and it looks really ugly and it's like hanging on by a thread, and the wind wished it this way, and it looks at itself and it goes, I'm ugly, I'm broken, I'm not even a tree, look at me, I don't even have leaves, I don't even have fruit. What kind of tree am I, right?
Grapevines are really ugly like that.
It's all of us.
That's
what he's saying. All of us are ugly in the middle of the process, because it's the middle of the process. And by the way, and it's cyclical. It's not a one-time thing. Every year there's a winter, spring, summer, fall. Every year there's times when we're we're aligned, and then there's times when we're shedding, and we have to let go, and we have to die to that which we were, again and again and again and again. As Kook says, but when you stand on the mountaintop and you look at all these seasons, right? 50 years, 60 years, 70 years of winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, another Rosh Hashanah, another Yom Kippur, another Pesach. You know, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes in Elul, I'm like, again? Like one half of me is just like, it's a gift to be alive, right? Okay. And another part of me is like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Again? You know, but it's like, okay. But it's also like more contractions. Like I remember with my second baby, like I was already a doula for 20 years or something when I had my second baby. No, I guess it was 20, 15 years, whatever. And I just kept asking her, like, how much longer? Like, I know better than to do that. Like, how much longer? How many more contractions? Like, I know. But when you're in it, you don't have that perspective. Okay. Yesod HaTeshuva, harehu mevi refu'ah le'olam kulo. He says the foundation of Teshuva brings a refuah to all of creation. Do you understand what he's saying here? I want to make this very clear. The momentary flash in your soul, remember he keeps saying you haven't done anything yet. This is just a will to change, a will to live in alignment with your own highest values. A will, you haven't done anything. He says, did you understand? That will moves mountains. The same way that baby learns how to crawl because it was willing itself towards the toy on the other end of the room. That's what will does. Will compels you to grow. It compels you to keep moving towards the goal.
What if you don't have
I love that question. So I'm going to answer from, and I think about that all the time. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's such an important question.
That's what it said, yeah. When you're blocked.
Yeah, okay. It's such an important question. And yes, let's pause here. Okay, so it's like 2002, and I, Harav Yuval HaKohen Osharav he did a series for 6 months, Hakdama LeKabbalah, in the Beirav Shul. And I used to learn with him for, I think, 2 years. I learned with him every week in Oregon News. And then he did the 6-month introduction to Kabbalah, which was Gavald Shabbat. And I bring that up because it blew my mind. He taught me something. This is in 2002, and I never forgot. And he said that we can solef the ratzon. Yeah, we can burn out our will by yearning and wanting and being disappointed by not getting it. And yearning and wanting and being disappointed by not getting it. And and at a certain point, it's, you know how like a baby's in a crib and it's crying for the parents, and it's crying about, and the parents don't come. And the baby cries harder, and the parents don't come. And the baby cries harder. And then the baby's just like, forget it, man. Like, there's no point. And I'm not talking about once. I'm talking about, what if this baby, after a certain time, the baby develops an attachment disorder. But there's no point in asking for what I want or need, because I'm not going to get it anyway. Right? It's an attachment disorder. Right. And Rav Yuval was saying we can develop that attachment disorder as well. So we have to understand what is the will and how to work with our to be led. And there's a lot of things we can say about this to repair. Yeah, an attachment disorder, right? In other words, the baby stops crying at a certain point because it doesn't believe that there's any effectiveness in sharing its will, right? I need to be picked up. I need to be held.
Yeah.
It's great. Okay. So you've all said, yeah, this can happen to us also. But of course, in Kabbalah, there's always a way to mitaken that, right? So how do we start mitakening that? And you're going to love this. And I'm in the middle of this process right now. So I'm so happy that you asked me this. This is literally part of my own personal spiritual work process. It might ruffle some feathers, forgive me, but I'm going to share it anyway, okay? So I every morning, sometimes in the night as well, work my 12-step program. And I'm part of Al-Anon. I guess I'm not supposed to say that publicly because the anonymity, oops, sorry. But it's an ongoing, lifelong project for me to keep healing the effects of growing up around addiction and alcoholism, right? Which are it's not just about it, in fact, it's very little to do with drinking. It's patterns of distorted patterns of thinking and distorted patterns of relationshiping, distorted patterns of communicating, distorted patterns of getting our needs met, right? And it affects the drinker and it affects the person who's around the drinking, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, right? As we took on these distorted, but we can understand that in our language as the etadat tov v'ra. It happened on it happened on a level of humanity. Okay, so step 11, right? And I say the 12 steps to myself every morning, again, sometimes at night, and sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel just scared about my life or everything, right? I've never, ever, ever, never in my whole life, ever not had any inkling of where my life is going. And I've had no inkling of where my life is headed. None. Like every Rosh Hashanah, I had some vague idea, even if it was just like, I hope to meet my soulmate, or I have none. No, like I was doing a meditation yesterday, like, and she got to somewhere about like, now envision your future you, and I'm like blank, nothing, just gray screen, nothing there, nothing. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to teach, I'm going to, nothing. So there's no will. Okay. So it's okay because I understood that because I wanted a lot of things that weren't good for me. I deeply wanted relationships, for example, that were really not good for me. But my heart wanted them. And so it took a long process of having to do an asira on my will because I was wanting things that were harmful for me, right? A baby can want to eat candy all day, right? And that's not the kind of will we're talking about. We said that Ratzon Latov. Tov means that it's inherently good for you, right? It's
Also an adult.
Right, of course, right, of course. Okay, so for me, a big part of rewiring my will center is this. Step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand God, meaning not someone else's God. It has to be a personal relationship, right? Praying, and here's the catch, praying only for knowledge of his will for me, for us, right? And the power to carry that out. That's all I pray for now. I don't pray for my zivug. I don't pray for parnasa. I don't, because I spent so many years praying for things that I thought were good for me and were not good for me. So now I'm going back to the shorish of the will, of what I want to be taught is I want to trust Hashem, that Hashem wants the highest good for me. And I don't have to pit my will against his will. Like a 2-year-old. No, we're leaving the park. No, right? And like it's me and Hashem battling it out because I'm positive that I know better. Right? Okay, so we have 3 minutes. Yikes. It's a, I mean, what can we do? We're gonna, and again, this is part of my sankalpa, meaning my inner. Sankalpa is Hindu for the seed of your truest inner will. The seed of.
3 minutes. Who says this?
It's 25 after right now. In 3 minutes. Okay. So let's take our 3 minutes. Yalla, Tavrush, yalla, 3 minutes. Okay. So I want to say this again. When we don't have a will, I was depressed about this for months. Like, I don't want anything anymore. I don't want anything anymore because I don't believe, because, right, well, it's mixed in with Yayush because I don't believe I'm going to get it. I don't believe Hashem is listening. I don't believe I don't believe it. My prayers. Oh,
What?
okay. Thank you. Okay, good. It's okay. It's right. Let's take these last 3 minutes.
That was such a perfect example. And actually, we just go, wow. So like, I'm scared. What is a bee?
Oh, well, you ask that, and that's not something in our control because that's. Yeah, we're ending. Because that's a nervous system response. That's your nervous system.
But I want to go.
And we can't. Okay, so so Judy asked that we end. So we're ending. Okay, and again, just to keep in alignment with will. So again, I want to say this. Something else that we say a lot in 12-step program is attraction rather than promotion. Okay, attraction rather than promotion, meaning it means that we're not forcing that which is closed to open. We're not forcing solutions. We're stuck or Hashem is not answering about something. We don't bang harder and push more. This is part of the secret of Hashem saying to Moshe Rabbeinu, stop praying about it. It's not the right thing and it's not the right time. Right? It's to be in tune with like are we overcoming something that's blocked, or are we forcing our will? So if we don't, okay, the reason I'm saying this is because I spent the last 2 years forcing my will, trying to find places to teach, trying to find places to do body work and breath work, trying to find places to share breathwork sessions, and nothing was opening. And I was chasing this one and asking this one and asking that one and chasing this, and maybe this and maybe, and nothing was opening, and still nothing is opening. And so instead of trying harder, I'm learning to just trust that Hashem brings together the right people in the right moment in the right way.
She's just finishing the sentence.
I just need to take the.
We're done. I'm not going to touch anything because I don't want to do it.
The attraction is that our chance to run things.
I think it's to understand that